Hello, I'm Hugo. I'm the Education Manager here at Meridian Audio, and today we're going to give you the engineering overview of the Meridian 271 Digital Theatre Controller. I'm joined here by James Bate, who is the Principal Engineer on this project. So, an overview of this project. James, what is the 271? What's it all about?
So this is designed to be a front end for a Meridian DSP digital theatre driven by anyone's AVR system. So this is designed to take in analog signals or digital signals and convert them to be suitable for our DSP loudspeakers.
So we're going to use this to drive Meridian speakers using anybody else's AVR in essence.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the construction of this box, I mean, I can see from the pictures of it, it's a fairly straightforward, stick it in the rack kind of box. Is there anything special about it?
Absolutely. This is a chunky metal box. It's designed to go in a rack. This is when you've got a big theatre with lots of speakers.
Yeah. They
They do tend to be installed in a room, in a rack, and shut away from the user. So this isn't something to be out on show in the view. This is a functional box. It's supposed to be durable.
Yeah, so one of the other things that I've noticed about the 271 as well is the fact it has no vents, there's no fans in there as well. Is there any particular reason for that, James?
No, this is quite an efficient box, so it's better for the durability and the reliability of the product if there aren't any holes letting in dust and letting things degrade.
And then you've got no moving parts like fans that
No
they'll get
parts.
jammed up with dust and muck and like as tends to happen in rack spaces. So that's the outside of it. How about the inside of it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Internally, it is a Meridian product, so it's designed with all the know-how that we've built up over the years. So there are multi-layer circuit boards. We keep the power planes and the ground planes separate. We keep all the signals hidden away so that they don't interfere with each other and kind of stop all the external signals coming and destroying the sound quality. We use gold-plated connections all over the place, so this doesn't degrade over time. It maintains its quality. It keeps its lifetime and it keeps working.
The other thing I've noticed as well about the 271 with the lid off is that it's got gold capacitors in there. Are they the Nishikon ones?
Absolutely, we use Nishikon everywhere it touches the audio, so this is a high-quality product.
Yeah, and a very reasonable price point as well, considering the amount of love and effort that's gone into making it.
There are a lot of components inside this. If you do open it up, you'll see there are so many channels of analog switching going on in this thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of circuitry in there, but it is they're all the same. They're all the same high quality.
So one of the other things inside this product, of course, is the power supply. Now, you'd imagine for something like this you would use a switch mode, but I understand that we've done something a bit different.
Yeah, so we've specified and designed a specific toroid for this product. So there's so much analog circuitry going on inside this thing. It does need really good power supplies to make it sound good.
And of course, one of the other benefits of using a toroid as well is that it's much more reliable than using a switch mode power supply in the product. So it's going to make it better for putting in a rack, leaving it and forgetting about it.
This is a fit and forget kind of thing.
So the front panel is it's very utilitarian, very plain. It's quite straightforward. It's just got one button on it.
This reflects its target audience. So this is supposed to be hidden away. It hasn't got a user interface as such. What this does do is it just gives the installer a nice, easy way to set the product up. So out of the box, you can turn the system off, you can turn it on, you can see if the ADCs are clipping, you can see if the SPDIF signal is not going to be played.
So if the analog to digital converters inside it, if you're getting analog in, are too high level, it's going to show a little red light.
It is going to tell you on the front that that's too high.
And that's a really useful tool for diagnostics when you're actually on site. So the input side of this product, so it has multiple inputs and multiple options. So we'll start with the analog inputs.
There are so many AVRs that are on the market at the moment. They have, in general, they have an analog output. Can be on phonos, can be on XLRs. There are a few with digital outputs as well.
I think that's the main part of the market space, really, isn't it? That most of the AVRs that you can go out there and buy are analog outputs. And as you say, the more niche, the more expensive ones.
They tend to be additional to have a digital output. Yeah. So the analog is there. The analog circuitry we can use unbalanced ones. That will go through some more circuitry to make it sound better. The balanced, we've chosen to use DB25, which is a very standard connection. We use it in a standard way.
Yeah, because I guess if we started sticking 16 XLRs on the back of this product, it'd get quite big.
Yeah, it does get really big.
Yeah. So it's a nice compact connector and that's something that's used in the professional audio world in studios for that kind of connection.
Yes,
hooks
professional circuits. Professional stuff uses this stuff, but AVRs use this as well. You could well be just buying a DB25 to DB25 cable.
So with the unbalanced inputs going into this, is there anything special we do with
So
those?
this is what we alluded to. So the analog switch in this product is a balanced switch.
Yeah.
So what we do at Meridian, we use a piece of circuitry that we've used in the past, which
SuperBal, I believe it's called.
which we've called SuperBal, which takes the unbalanced signal and converts it in a way such that you gain all the benefits of a balanced signal. So you get the common mode rejection, you get the normal noise going down, and you can put it through the same quality switch.
So that means we've got balanced signals going throughout the whole product, and that means it's a lot easier to reject any interference.
Yes.
And so we're getting a better noise to signal to noise ratio, not noise to signal ratio. That wouldn't be very helpful at all. So we did touch on the fact that we've got digital inputs on this as well. So the first one we're going to look at is the twin RJ45s.
Yeah. So in general, there's an analog connection on all of the AVRs, but as you go higher up the range, you tend to get a digital connection.
Yeah.
So rather than having lots of RCA kind of connections, they've tended to use more of a Pro style thing, which uses RJ45. So this is where you get 8 channels of SPDIF down one cable.
So with 8 channels of SPDIF down one cable, it means if we use 2, we get 16. And I know that this kind of connection is used on the Storm and the Datasat products that output digital audio, and it makes it really easy as well for wiring this up. So the other digital connection that we have on this product is a DB25. So we've got 2 DB25s which are for analog. We've got another one which is a digital input, and that one is quite specific to its use.
This is very specific for the Trinnov.
Straight out of the Trinnov, straight into the 271. So you're getting the Trinnov's management, and then you're getting the performance of the DSP speakers, the Meridian DSP speakers. So that uses a DB25, and it's Trinnov's own implementation of the DB25. Because normally an AAS DB25 would allow you to have in and out signals on it, 8 channels in, 8 channels out, but what they're going to do is use that for 16 channels coming straight out.
So the normal digital DB25 connection is designed to loop in something in a studio, so like a mixer or an effects box.
Yeah.
What they've done, so in that situation you've got in and out. What they've done is they've said all the signals are travelling the same way.
Yeah. So we've accounted for that. And we've actually put that kind of connection on this product, so we can hook straight out of a Trinnov.
You can connect
really
straight from
easier.
16 channels of Trinnov straight through to this product in one cable.
Nice and easy. The final connection that we've got on this is a Meridian speaker link. Now we tend to put Meridian speaker links on every product that we make. What would be the reason for having that on this product, James?
So this is, I mean, it's the same wiring. It's still an Ethernet cable, so it's standard wiring, simple, reliable. It actually carries balanced SPDIF for use within our system, and it also carries Meridian comms. So this is how Meridian comms is how the system all wakes up and goes back to standby together.
So a good example of a use for this would be to hook maybe a 218, an 818, an 808 into the 271, and then if you've got your reference kind of pair of Meridian speakers that you want to listen to music on for just left and right audio.
Yeah, this is how you get 2-channel into that system. Yes.
Cool. So outputs. So we talked about the inputs. We've got a lot of outputs on this product. I think it would be fair to say.
Yeah. So throughout the product, the 16 input channels are directly, so they're mapped 1-to-1, 2-to-2 throughout the product. And for the analog outputs, we've used unbalanced connections. Yeah. So we've got the inverse of the SuperBal circuitry. Yeah. So this all comes back, so we have a high quality signal coming out of the product.
So those analog outputs would really be used for if you wanted to use traditional analog speakers alongside Meridian speakers. So maybe
active or amplifiers, yes.
Yeah, so that could be subwoofers, which is essentially an active speaker usually, or passive ones with an amplifier. So if you wanted to cut down on the budget for the overhead speakers, you could absolutely do that. Use these to drive overhead speakers in an immersive audio format cinema. Digital outputs.
Well, this is the prime function of the box. So this is to enable a Meridian DSP theatre to be used by anyone's AVR. So this is a bank full of connectors, so you can have all your theatre as a Meridian theatre.
So if you wanted to, you could have a whole Meridian DSP theatre hanging off this, or if you wanted to mix and match, you could use some Meridian speakers and you could use some analog speakers with it as well.
Both outputs are live at the same time. Yes.
So it's really flexible. Audio processing. I think this is one of the key things that we need to point out about this product, is that
it's not an audio processor.
No.
This is being a theatre controller.
Yeah.
So this is where you plug in our DSP speakers and it controls what they do so that they all work together. The audio processing should be in the AVR, so all the delays, the level adjustments.
Yeah, so
should be up there.
so whichever AVR that you've decided you want to buy and put as the
Yeah.
front end, that's going to do the processing. This is essentially acting as an interface box, or you could imagine, it's almost like plugging your AVR into a big stack of power amplifiers, but those power amplifiers are actually running the Meridian speakers.
And this is a much smaller, much more efficient system.
So as far as getting the audio from the 271 to the speakers, I understand that we use MHR. What's that for?
We do. So Meridian invented MHR way back when DVD audio happened, and it was mandated that we had to encrypt the audio stream.
Yeah.
One of the side effects was this, that it reduced the jitter in the stream, and for a user, this makes things sound better.
So there's just a genuine audio performance to
Yeah.
using the MHR to get the...
There's no need for the encryption in this product, but inherent in its feature is that it makes it all sound better.
Yeah. So back to connections, the other thing that the 271 has is a Ethernet connection. Can you explain what that's on there?
So we use Ethernet for configuration and IP control.
Yeah.
So you can browse to the web page and you can use that. You have to use that to set this up. But also the IP control interface, which is published for installers to use, that will let you control all the features of the 271, so all the volume, all the menus,
Yeah.
all the source selections.
So one of the things I do understand about Ethernet is that it can be very electrically noisy. Have we done anything in particular to...
So what we've
combat
done, I mean, in some installs you have to
Yeah.
put all sorts of chokes and all sorts of protection mechanisms, but what we've done is we've found an Ethernet connector that includes all the magnetics in it. So
Yeah.
this stops all the EMC and interference right where it's connected, so it doesn't get injected into the circuit boards, it doesn't get into the power supplies.
So from the installer's point of view, hook your network in there, you don't even have to think about it because we've
No.
dealt with all of that for you. So a classic thing that we have with AVRs, with power amplifiers, is triggers.
Yeah, triggers in this instance have been used to turn on amplifiers or to control some kind of home automation system. So this is for when you're putting this in a system that pre-exists that has an AVR and an amplifier. So what you can do is you can put the trigger from the AVR into the 271,
Yep.
and then that will control the 271 and the DSP theatre system. So that will turn it on and off.
So almost as if, in a traditional system, you take your AVR, you plug that into your power amps, and it turn the power amps on. We can very simply just take the output from the AVR and turn our whole Meridian system on.
Yes.
So just really simple, easy integration.
And I mean, also to cater for the systems where you still have some of those amplifiers, say you've upgraded your system and you're using your old system for the ceilings or something like that, you can use the trigger output to enable the amplifier still.
Yeah, so you can configure that so that you could turn your overhead speakers on, for example,
Yeah.
when the whole system
And the whole
comes on.
system will work as one.
From an installation point of view as well, there's one thing that I've noticed about looking at the back of this product is that we've very clearly laid it out so that all the inputs at the top and all the outputs at the bottom. Is there a particular reason for doing that?
So this is a rack product, and
Yeah.
generally what happens in a rack is the big heavy things get put at the bottom, like the amplifiers,
Yeah.
and the slightly more intricate things you've got to plug into get higher up in the rack, say in the middle, so that you've got all the connections visible for you. What will happen is the 271 will go between the AVR and the amplifier, so we've put the inputs at the top and the outputs at the bottom, just to keep it easier to see what you've wired.
Yeah. So we've really thought about how, for you, when you're on site, how it's going to be easier to hook this thing up.
Yeah.
So channel numbering. The other thing that I have noticed about this product is that most things, most AVRs, etc., you look at the back of them, they've got loads of names and labels as to which channel is which. On the back of the 271, we haven't got that. We've just got numbers. What's the reason behind that?
So all the different AVRs, they've got all these outputs, but they've got different signals on them. So it depending on what kind of algorithms they support, they might have 8 channels or 12 or 14 or whatever, and they'll be used in different ways.
And certainly my experience as well has been in the past that you get on site with an AVR, a different manufacturer would label things differently.
Yeah.
They'd use different names for different stuff. So I guess by doing this, it means that you can just patch whichever output you want to go to whichever speaker you want.
The intention is to keep this simple so that if an installer puts a signal on channel 1 on a 271, it comes out on channel 1.
And I think actually that's one thing just to note about Meridian speakers and the way that they work, is that when you're installing this product, a really good tip is to install your left speakers into an odd numbered channel and your right speakers into an even numbered channel. Your centre speaker, that also needs to go into an odd numbered channel. And it'll just make it a lot easier for you when it comes to actually setting them up. Other than that, you can put them wherever you like.
Yeah.
So control interfaces. We've got the Meridian IP Control app.
Yeah, so we've got an automation interface which is useful for all the Control 4 and Crestron and
yeah, we've got third-party drivers for most of the common control systems, but we've also got this free iPad app as well, iPad and iOS app.
As a demonstration of the interface, we've written our own app, so you can have this on your iPhone, your iPad, and it will discover the product. So you just add it, you just put it on the same network, it will discover the product, it will give you the front panel sort of simulation. So you can change the volume, you can change the menus, you can change the source.
So actually when you're on site, if you haven't got your laptop to hand, this is actually a really useful configuration tool, because not only does it find all the devices on the network, you can also hit the button in the top left hand corner and that will open up, you can open up the user guide which is built into the product. It'll also bring up the configuration pages as well. So if you're on site, I'd say this is a really useful.
Yeah, this is self-contained, so it will give you the setup and it will give you the instructions, just get you out of a hole now.
So we've talked a lot about all the other control kind of side of stuff. One of the things that's fairly intrinsic to Meridian is Meridian Comms or Meridian Communications. The 271 speaker link input, what's that on there for?
So the whole history of Meridian Comms is that you can plug in all your different components and they'll work as a system. So you present with one user interface and you press a button and it does what it does.
Yeah, so we take a system approach to it, so that it means that it acts as one, and it just makes it really easy for you to use. Another control interface is infrared. So from the infrared side of stuff, we have got the G12, which is an infrared receiver. This can be plugged into the back of the 271 if you want to use that. The other thing that we've done as well, if you do want to use infrared, just to make it really easy, is we have made it so you can plug the output from an infrared blaster, so from a control system, directly into the back of the product.
Yeah. So some control systems will emulate an infrared signal and they'll expect you to have a diode, like an infrared diode, plugged in, and then you stick that to the front of the product, say, that's got an eye on it. They're prone to failure because it'll fall off eventually. So what you can do is, with the 271, you just run a wire
and plug it directly in.
So you miss out that join between those two.
So from an install point of view, that just makes it nice and easy. No failure, no trying to super glue stuff on, and it's just going to work. So configuration of this product, James, how do we go about actually getting in there and configuring it?
So once you've found the IP address, either by your own methods or by using our IP control app, you're presented with a standard HTML web page. So this is fairly simple in nature. It doesn't need plugins, it doesn't need animations, it doesn't mind what operating system you're on or what browser it is. And it doesn't even mind what screen size you're on. So this works on a mobile, on a tablet, on a laptop.
So we just made it really, really simple, just so it works with everything.
Yeah, you can get into this.
And so then once we found it, once we plugged in the IP address, we've got a really straightforward, simple configuration page that we can configure all of the things in there, like the channel duplication, etc., etc. Yeah. The other thing that we've got in the top left-hand corner, you can click there and that will open up the option to download the user guide. Built
into the product is a PDF of the user guide. So you don't need the internet, you don't need to go to the PDF is on our website if you want to be in advance of it, but the PDF is in the product, so if you're on site and there's no internet, you can still get the instructions.
I honestly think that's a really cool feature, because I have personally been on site when the internet is definitely not on yet and you're trying to work out how stuff works. So channel duplication, that's something I just mentioned about being able to set up in the configuration page. What is the point of channel duplication?
So in general on the AVRs, you have a mandated kind of output. So you'll have one left, one right, one center, one sub, say. And in an install, you might want more. If you've got an odd shaped room, so maybe you've got a really long room, you might want more sides, or if it's really wide, you might want more rears. More often, you might want more subs.
Yeah.
In general, that's the kind of thing you do, so you don't want to localize the subwoofer. Yeah. There's various ways of doing that, from just using a splitter cable to daisy chaining the signals, most of which degrade the quality. So what we've done is made it so that you can duplicate a pair. And it then has its own drive.
So that just makes it really straightforward, because you're just plugging everything back to the head end.
Yes.
and you're not losing quality.
Yes.
Volume control. So
there's a couple of ways of doing volume control. If you're just coming from a digital theatre, the speakers themselves do the volume control. It should always be at the last stage in the process. If you've actually got a mixed system, so you've got some active speakers and some DSP active speakers, the analog output of the 271 is also variable. So your system will still go up and down in volume as one.
Yeah.
The third case is kind of where you've got an AVR with an integrated amplifier, in which case you're going to carry on using that amplifier. You won't be able to match the volume levels across those. So what you should do is actually just fix the 271 to a volume level and just use your AVR.
Because that's one of the things you can actually do in the configuration of the 271 is you can go in there and tell it that when it turns on, it goes to a fixed volume level.
Yep.
So for that kind of slightly more marginal use case, then
you'll suffer signal to noise ratio and all kind of things, but you will get a working theatre.
So in the case where you've got more than 16 channels that you have to deal with,
these already exist, and there will be more processors like this. Yes.
So I believe Trinov, so their normal models are 16 channels, but they also go up to 32 channels as well. So how do we deal with that?
So in the 271, you can actually sort of stack these up, and it keeps going. So basically, you join the communication systems, so the comms gets joined up, and they will switch as one.
So essentially, you stick two of these in the rack, hook the cables up between them, and it just works seamlessly. It just means you've got lots more cables that you're going to need to plug in.
And then they're all individually driven. They've all got the same quality. You're not chaining signals and stuff.
So that brings us to the end of our engineering overview. So in summary, the 271 features Meridian's high quality audio engineering, and it allows you to provide the benefits of Meridian DSP loudspeakers to all of your customers. You can feed it from an AVR regardless of the price point that you're going to have, and the AVR can be upgraded in the future. So as new technology comes along, as more formats are created, you can keep your Meridian DSP system. That's still going to give you the same level of performance, but you can upgrade the front end of that system. So there really is no reason now not to specify Meridian loudspeakers in any theatre system. So for more information on the 271, please visit our website.